We've already done our first basic, which is about 1.5 to 2 inches. Now we've done our sumac, and now we've done another inch or a little more than an inch of basic. Now we're ready for raya. Raya weave is made with any color you want. It can be made with one color or 2 colors or 3 colors. I usually find the end of my skein, put the ends together, and then I put the skeins on the floor so the yarn comes off easily. And I lift the yarn up to make it loose, and then I stretch out my fingers and I wrap the yarn around my fingers. You could wrap the yarn around a piece of cardboard, but your fingers are always with you. You just pull the yarn up, and you want to wrap it loosely around your fingers because you want a large circle of yarn. Don't let the yarn pull your fingers together, because then you'll have a small circle, and that won't serve you well when you're making raya. After you wrap the yarn around your fingers so that it's about as thick as a donut, then you take the yarn off your hand, and you take your scissors and you cut through the center of the circle one time in one spot. And then you have all this yarn the same length. I make the yarn a little longer than what we really would need, because when we're starting out learning this stitch, the longer the yarn, the easier it's going to be. Now you can do your raya any way you want. It's going to hang down in little knots, so you could do a blue one, an orange one, a blue one, an orange one, or you could mix your colors. I think today I'll mix my colors. So I have 2 blue and 2 orange. And you line them up and you lay them on top of the strings. We're going to weave on 2 strings at a time. So I'm laying my yarn on top of the first 2 strings, and I'm up high on my loom because it's a little easier if I work up high. I have a left string and I have a right string. So I'm going to pick up the left string and hold it up, and I'm going to use my left hand to put the left side of the yarn under the left string. And then I'm going to just lay it over to the left. Don't pull it, because then you'll be shortening this side. Just lay it over to the left. Then pick up your right string and use your right hand to put the right side of the yarn under the right string. And do you see how that looks? The center of the yarn goes over the 2 strings. The ends go under inward and come up in between together. And you get all the ends of the yarn together in one hand. Lift to tighten that knot and slide it down where you want it. I'll do that one more time. I line them up. I lay the yarn on top of the next 2 strings. I pick up the left string and see how I hook my finger and my right hand to hold it up. Use your left hand to put the left side under the left string and lay it over to the left so it's out of your way. Then I hook my left finger so that my right hand is free to put the right side of the yarn under the right string. All the ends of the yarn come up in between my 2 strings. I get them all together in one hand, lift to tighten, and then gently slide. This goes pretty quickly, and it's a lot of fun. Once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. It's like riding your bike. First couple of times you do it, it seems hard and it seems awkward, but after a while, you just fly. Your fingers will fly. Now, some people, when they're first learning this, forget that all the yarn has to be facing downward, and they'll put one side under so that the yarn's facing down, and then the next side goes up like that. That's not right, because when you pull it down now, you don't see that pretty knot. Now you have something like this. If that happens to you, you need to take it out. Just pull that out. That's what's great about weaving, is if you do it wrong, you can pull it out. So make sure all your ends are facing downward so that that pretty knot is showing. So you're going to do that all the way across your loom, weaving 2 by 2. When you get to the end, if you have an odd number of strings, you may have 3 left over. If that happens to you, skip that one and weave on the last 2. Never leave the last man standing alone. Raya knots will eventually get loose and fall out if you don't lock them in. And we lock them in with basic weave. So you'll take your needle, you'll put some yarn, now I would either use orange or blue since that's the color of my Raya. And you'll lock it in by doing basic weave across, just like we did here, under one, over one, all the way across. And you'll do 4 rows, over, back, over, back. And you'll push that basic weave down against your Raya knots to hold them in. Then you can do another row of Raya. Now some weavers just do the 4 rows and continue with the next row of Raya, and then 4 rows of basic, another row of Raya. If you do it that way, which is the way I teach my students on their first weaving, then you'll have a really fluffy Raya. If you put more basic between your rows of Raya, you could build it up to maybe 6 or 8 rows. Then when the next row hangs down, it'll just slightly overlap the first row, and it'll look like a waterfall instead of a big fluff ball. So it's your choice how you do it. You can change colors. My next row of Raya could be all gold. I hope you have fun, and we'll come back when we're finished with Raya, and I'll teach you open slit tapestry.